to Johnny Carson, and I've been the guest.
Well, I was just auditioning, so in case that you're traveling with the
Oh,
family and you need somebody to go ahead and sit in for you.
Hey guys and gals, this is Hayden Farrar, the producer of I Know This Guy. Welcome to part 2 of our interview with Lil Roberts. If you haven't heard part 1 yet, make sure to go back and give it a listen. She ends up sharing her moving backstory that informs her life outlook and really gives context for the rest of the interview. So make sure to go back and check it out. That's enough of me. Now let's dive into the rest of the interview.
So let's talk about some fun things, all right? Like this has all been fun stuff to
yeah,
talk
there we
about
go.
business
Okay.
and everything. Yeah. But this is all fun stuff that we're talking about with business and life lessons. I think life lessons are great and fun. But when we think about uh, how to design fun in your life, right? Like, how do you design fun in your life in Canada?
Design fun in my life. I am, I work a lot, and that's my fun. I got to tell you, for me to have fun is either just having a walk with the family. That's enough fun. Yeah, I'm an old guy. I don't want to drop dead. But also, like when I do something, I believe I do it right. I think if Hayden, says if we go traveling or if we go and do something, it's always done top notch. We have a blast. We don't cut any corners. Um, if it's taking a walk, if it's going for the dogs, it's simple. I'm a simple person when it comes to that. I'll love going down to meet everybody in Florida and go to our parties and
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, I'm in rural Canada. I have a beautiful look of the out my like the whole house. We've got the lake out in front of us. It's gorgeous. That's my fun.
oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And also I gotta say, if for me, and I'm gonna switch this, you're not gonna interview me. Um, what I really enjoy is when I do have a business and I do have to weed through people. It's a process and it takes a bit of time. But when you have that person, if it might be a VA that's overseas, or if it's a partner, but it's working with that person and seeing their life change. I get a ton of enjoyment out of, hey, if I remember just recently, I just told this lady in the Philippines, hey, let's just boost your hourly rate up $1.50. And they were very happy. This other lady, actually in Poland, she was having problems. So I bought her a new MacBook. She's not going to
Nice.
pay for it. I don't care. Like, she's been with me over 6 months. Hopefully she's going to be with me for 10 years.
Nice.
Other workers, uh, again, a lot of VAs, I buy them their iPhones. I buy them their internet. I buy them generators because of the storms. I make their life easy. And the other thing too is that I find that so many people take advantage of people overseas. Let's nickel and dime them down, to $2 an hour. I like to bring them up to $6 an hour, and I want them to have a happy family. So, like you said, go back and not be, that terrible guy, but want to come in, want to do the extra help. Like I know most of my employees, I could call on the weekend and they would work. I
Yeah.
don't want to do that,
Yeah.
but if there was a crunch and I said, look, we got to do this, I know 9 out of 10 of my employees would come up to bat to do that, because,
That's
and that's what I enjoy. A long way around saying that.
Yeah, but that's a great leader. So, okay, here's a perfect example of how us just having a conversation, how you could help me solve a problem right now, right today. And
Okay.
probably, I would say, a lot of the listeners that are in business on the podcast may also find this to be interesting, and that's something that they'd want to solve as well. Okay. So, just this past week, I was saying to my marketing team, we're looking at email list building, right? So you
Yep.
could go out and you could buy lists, and you can buy, call it 20,000 names, uh, and emails and phone numbers for, let's say, about $3,000, right? But they're not necessarily relevant. It's not the best list. It has a lot of fluff in it, right? So I said to the team, I said, let's build out what it would look like if we use somebody like, say, in the Philippines to do the list building. And they said, well, where would we even start? And I said, I must know somebody that could help us with this. And lo and behold, you appear. So, at a high level, for that would be interesting for the listeners, how do you go about, right? How do you go about finding the right VA? I think a lot of entrepreneurs have this, not only as the instance of list building, but also of that we all need help, right? Like, to me, my pain point is email. Being able to get through all the email and freeing myself up for the time to think, right? To get away from the task that maybe somebody else. And I envy people that I see in business that are really good about having their virtual assistants handle their calendars and do all those things. We have a shared friend, Colin,
Yeah.
who we go to his party. It's amazing how he lives his life. He does everything in his life to free himself up to think. So, so for a learning component, if we could spend 3 minutes or so on what would you say is the process about going out and finding a good VA, and then how do you measure what they're doing, and how do you inspect, the old saying, inspect or what you expect, right? So could you give me a high level of that, Norman? I'm going to walk away today just with so much valuable nuggets.
All right. So, one of the things that you can do, and this is actually quite timely, is a friend of mine. His name's Nate Hirsch. He's got a website called outsourceschool.com. And no affiliates, nothing like that. I'm telling you, this is the website to go to. He walks you through and gives you examples of everything that you need to do to outsource every part of your business, every part.
Ah,
So this guy, I've known him for years, and he had a company called freeup.com, and they provide outsourcing. So if you needed a VA, or if you needed, like, one of the things that I do, every area of my team, I might have somebody that does Facebook ads, I might have somebody that's doing accounting or bookkeeping, everything. It's all done through outsourcing, all
nice.
outsourcing, and except for my partners, which run the company. So that's the first thing. If you go there and you talk or contact Nathan, they have calls, they have the templates, everything. I just was on it. He just launched this after he sold FreeUp. So FreeUp is a company that you can go to, and it was spelled FREEE, three E's. Was a company that you could go in. They already have vetted people. So if you needed somebody
Wow.
for email list or doing a mailing campaign, no problem. They would find somebody. You would pay for it only when you don't have to bring it on full time. It could be an hour. I do, like, whenever I'm doing a presentation, I just send over my presentation to a writer to refine. They do the whole presentation. When I go on stage and I'm saying something, it's all done. Like,
Nice.
it's beautiful, because I would have
Right.
had at the beginning to spend, 8 hours or so to put
Yeah.
together it. Now I put it together. As long as they got the bullets, they put it together for me. So FreeUp's one. And then the other one is onlinejobs.ph. And so they have a huge network into the Philippines. And what we did at the time, because we were hiring a ton of people, I hired their recruiting manager. So it was great because they would do all the vetting for us and everything. But if you go there, that's another one. But I really think you'll pay a bit more with FreeUp, and you'll get a vetted, because this is a process, right? You put out a post on LinkedIn or Craigslist or onlinejobs.ph, you get 200 or 300 people back, and then how do you go through it all? You know,
I
there's
love it. I'm taking
process.
notes. So,
Oh, good. Well, I could send you
yeah,
the information.
I would absolutely love it. And that would be amazing because, these are the kinds of things like what you just did right here is what I think is so wonderful about the entrepreneur world and the small business owner world is that, we just want to help each other, right? We
Right.
found a way through and we just want to duplicate it and we want to make it to where somebody else can have as much fun and doing it. And, it's so important. Like what we're doing is we're fellow entrepreneurs. And so we're our peer group, right? And I think it's so important to find your tribe in life.
Right.
whatever it may be. If you're an academic, you're gonna build yourself up and you're gonna enjoy your life a little bit more as long as you can make sure you spend a little bit of time each week with friends that have shared interests, right? And it feeds our mind and it rejuvenates our soul and it makes us happy people.
Yeah. And if you're like-minded people, you enjoy being around them. You're learning, and that's one thing that I live by is I want to learn a minimum 1 hour a day. And if that's being part of a mastermind, or if that's reading something, or looking at something online, then so be it. But yeah, there's no boundaries, and that's the thing about entrepreneurship, don't you think? Is that you're constantly learning.
Yeah,
It's great. You're constantly learning something new.
lifelong learners. We're
Absolutely.
right. We're lifelong learners, and
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Norman, that's the people that I want to live my life with. So we don't teach we don't teach the young people, how we don't give them life skills. Like, this is an area I'm really passionate about, is that I believe that our school system spends time trying to teach them math equations that they're
Hmm.
not going to use later in life, right? Because calculators have replaced that, computers have replaced that. It's important for them to understand English, and most younger generations now really can't spell because they rely on the computer, right? But think about it. They spend all those years in school learning all those skills that really they don't use after the fact. But did we spend any time teaching them how to be confident, how to have self-love, how to have self-esteem, how to have integrity and what integrity means, and how to treat each other, right? And what kind of world would we have if we had an environment, like, if you say what would be my ideal business to start, like, what would be the business that I would want to own to give the best contribution to the world? It would be being able to take young minds and to teach them, not even teach them. I think people learn on their own. I think it's expose them and inspire them to have the life skills that are going to make a difference, that are going to help them be successful in life. And being successful in life isn't about money. It's about truly finding what you're passionate about that makes you happy, so that way you get up every day and contribute to the world in a positive way. And if you can figure that out, the money will follow, right? Like, uh, I had the great pleasure of meeting your son, Hayden, right? He's a musician. And how wonderful is that he grew up in a household that allowed him to find the craft and the art and the 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 path to what he wants to do in the world without having to think about it through the lens of money. And I'm
Mm.
sure he probably makes great money being a musician because he starts out doing what is his passion. If you were to say, what is a unique thing that I think would be fun to do in the world, I think it would be fun to do a private island with 10 friends that get to pick 10 other friends, and to everyone live on the island for 2 years and just do what they're passionate about. Well, it could be anything. Could
Yeah.
be they like to make wine. Could be they love cooking. Personally, I'm passionate about poker. Not a great poker player, but I love poker, right? It's a fun game. Or somebody could be on the island, they like to grow weed. Whatever it is, whatever they want to do. Imagine if we did that as a little bit of a science experiment and came out from there what it could bring back to the world about, hey, just do what you're passionate about and let's see how everything plays out there, right? I bet there'd be no crime. There'd be, only happiness. We'd all eat really well, probably be organic fruits and vegetables, right? We'd have a great time.
It's an interesting concept, and I see it as a reality show.
I don't know. I don't think I'd want to be on a reality show. Would you want to do a reality show, Norman?
Oh, with cameras around 24/7? Just having this on makes me nervous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. So, all right, before we run out of time, I have to know, what's the story behind the beard?
Okay. We have a buddy, Colin Campbell, and he's a pretty smart guy. So, anyways, I came down and I had, I don't know, just a small beard. And the reason I had a small beard is in Canada, during hockey season, for the most part, you don't shave. During the
Yeah.
playoffs, you don't shave. And so, anyways, I didn't shave. And I went down. Oh, it was for the boat parade a couple of years back. And so everybody leaves, and we're kind of sitting around the next day. And he says, "Man, you can create a brand around your beard." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, because I was telling him that I go to all these I go to all events. Every month I go to an event, like probably 2 minimum. And I was saying to him that people that I meet, they don't remember me. And it's, how do I get people to remember me? And he said, "Well, look, just grow a beard. Like, be the beard guy." And I did. And now I could be in front of, I could be part of 3,000 people sitting 3 rows back, watching somebody on stage. And this happens. And I'll want to connect. So I'll write an email, Facebook. "Oh, I was the guy with the beard three rows back." "Oh yeah, I remember." Never talking. It happens. And so the beard became the brand. That's how it happened.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And what a great line too. The beard became the brand.
Yeah,
So
and that's what it was. So you know what? We're going to have to change this because I've got to ask you a couple of questions. I
sure.
feel like you've been the Johnny Carson and I've been the guest.
Well, I was just auditioning, so in case that you're traveling with the
Oh,
family and you need somebody to go ahead and sit in for you,
oh,
that
very
I
good.
would give you that option.
You know what? You're there. You're done. It's already, yeah, in the works. I'll send the contracts over. uh, I am still curious. So I want to turn it around a little bit onto the business side, uh, and talk about, and it doesn't have to be business, I guess. What was your biggest success?
Really great question. So I have to answer that question with a question and then I'll answer it. How do you define success?
It could either be defined as happiness or just being, uh, I don't know, at peace. It could be anything. It could be, hey, you're doing a happy dance because you got paid $1 million for selling something. Whatever made you feel the best.
Wow. Okay. So I've had as much sadness as I've had in my life. Great question. Really great question. This ranks with that question that when you're interviewing people, because we were on the job interview, CNBC for this business, we were the premiere episode of the job interview, and that's a story I could share with you about how that all happened. And actually, we should if we have time. I'll share
Yeah.
that. But this ranks with that question that you ask people in an interview that you say to them, if you could have dinner with any 3 people, who would they be? Right? And you give them nothing else when you ask them that question, because then it's amazing how they'll answer it. You'll either find out philosophically things about them and how they live their life, or it'll be that one where they'll say, my grandfather, he's no longer here. Right? So to answer your question, what was one of my biggest success? And I'll say one of them because I feel that I've been really blessed, Norman. I mean, you can see I don't spend money on clothes or things. I don't put the dollar as success in life. I most days wear a black T-shirt to work, so I don't have to think about. Same with you, right? I don't have to think about what am I going to get dressed in. I'm a jeans and T-shirt, very casual. Don't spend a lot of money on jewelry or anything like that. Success to me is it is many things, but one of my greatest successes is that in out of all the 8 businesses, I had a business that was 23 years, and I sold that business 5 years ago. And most of the team that I had were with me for at least 15 of the 23 years, and the majority of them are still with the company because I picked the right owner, the right new buyer to take over based on culture. I didn't go based on selling my business for the most money. I went based on selling that business of who was going to go ahead and who was going to shepherd that family, that work family on. And most of those people of that team, I'm still connected to and see. In fact, tonight I'm going to dinner with somebody that worked with me for all 23 years of it. And it's been 5 years since I sold that business. So that's one of the successes for me, is that when I can provide a work environment where people feel safe, secure. It's a learning environment for them to build their lives. That I see them buy cars, buy homes, have kids, get married, and lead a happy life. That's success to me. And so I've been super fortunate to have a lot of those types of successful opportunities in my life, and I feel tremendously blessed. I feel that every step of the way where there's been bad things that have happened, from one of my businesses having $1 million in damage from a hurricane and a third of the roof coming off, and easily the business would have been out of business, and didn't. We found our way through. That we've been really blessed. I always tell my team I have an incredible guardian angel. No matter, don't write the end of the story, right? That's one of my things. Don't write the end of the story. What is covered shall be uncovered. So don't sweat it. Like, if you're in a relationship, and not you, God forbid, you've been married with a wonderful family. But when people are in a relationship and they think, "Oh, my significant other is cheating on me," don't stress it. If they are, it'll reveal itself, and if they are, you deserve better, right? So don't stress that. Be successful. Just be the best you can be. That's being
Mm.
successful. Wake up in the morning and grab a bite out of life, and know what makes you happy. I know what makes me happy. The sun shining makes me happy. A great song on the radio makes me happy. Water makes me happy. Taking a bath or being on the water or being around water. Driving fast in a car makes me happy. I love speed. Know what makes you happy, right? A great meal, good conversation, seeing somebody kill it makes me happy. Don't count somebody else's money, right? Just if you see somebody happy, don't you want a piece of that? Don't you want to go, God, I'm so happy for you, you know?
What is this about CNBC?
All right. So, crazy story. Here's what happened. So it I was de-risking the business, right? So we both have, the lifelong learnings. And so when you're going out to look at your next business, you got to find out, is there a product market fit? Is the time right for the business? So what had happened was I was building the business that I currently have, which is Xendoo, Xendoo, and there's a whole story about the name, but we don't get into that today. But I was in the early stages of building the business, and determining was the market ready for this business? And this business is bringing technology to an analog industry of accounting, but bringing the tools and the visibility so business owners can have their financials in a timely manner. We deliver by the fifth business day of the following month. So I said, okay, how can I determine if the business is the time is now? So I said, I got to get to a trade show where there's a whole bunch of small business owners, and let me talk to a couple hundred small business owners, all in a matter of 8 hours, right? You know, so I looked at where were small business owner trade shows, and so I did one in Atlanta in December. I went to do one in Miami in February called the Small Business Expo, and anywhere from 8 to 14,000 business owners go to this show in a day. And I paid the $3,000 to have a booth there and to do a speaking gig, an educational thing. I did something called the Power of Three. So Atlanta, sure enough, proved that the business owners were ready. Went and did Miami, picked up more customers, proved that the business was ready. And I said, so I really need to go to do the show in New York in May at the Kravitz or Javits Center, right? Do I really need to go do that? And I wasn't going to do it, Norman. I was going to just skip it, keep the $3,000. But something said, go ahead and do it. So here I am at the show. That's their biggest show. There's 14,000 people there. And sure enough, what happened was a scout for a talent scout came by our booth. He loved the look and feel of our booth. He loved the business model, and he told me he loved my energy and passion, because he started asking some questions about it. And I'm super passionate about people. I'm passionate about business. I'm passionate about helping people. And and he said, I can't tell you what major news network it'll be on, but we are looking for people to audition, do a Skype audition for uh, a show that is around job interviewing, and the show is currently in the UK. And this guy, his name's Wesley, and he worked for ITV, and he said, "Would you be interested?" And I said, "Absolutely, let's do it." And so I came back to Florida, auditioned. There were 100 people that auditioned. 500 different business owners from all over the United States. And they said, we're going to bring 12 of you to film an episode in New York, and we're going to run 10 out of the 12. So even if you got through the 1 out of 100, or if you were 12 out of 100 on the audition pick, now you go to New York and then you film the episodes, and only 10 out of the 12 of you are going to be on the episode, and you don't know, which episode you'll be. So having strong faith, right? We went ahead, and I had a partner, and we went to New York, and what they wanted is they wanted you to interview for a position, for a role in your company that was a real job. And they wanted you interviewed 6 people, and I think they aired 3 or 4 of them, right? And you had to come up with your own interview questions. And actually, we had some really great questions. And I love interviewing people, and as you can tell. And and the questions that we used are on our website on Xendoo.com. If you go to our blogs, they'll have the 25 questions. And so we went ahead and we did this, and we turned out to be the premiere episode of the job interview. And here's how ironic how things happen. So I had been doing the product market fit, right? It was started in December of 17, and and uh, and this was May of 18, and we were launching with paid search November 7th or 8th. And 2 weeks prior to that, they told us, hey, we're launching, the premiere episode is happening. It's either November 8th or 9th, and you guys are the premiere. Xendoo's the premiere episode. How crazy is that?
That's
And
crazy.
so, yeah, it's just, what do you call it? Serendipity, right? It was serendipity. And Norman, we launched paid the day before. We launched our website. We launched paid the day before, and here it turned out to be CNBC, and we were on CNBC and aired. They had there were so much on TV. Like, I had friends that were business colleagues that I hadn't seen in years that were texting me that they would see a commercial on TV about the episode coming up. And then for a good year after, they aired episodes in airplanes and everything else. And it was amazing. And what an experience. It was really just an incredible experience. And that's happened to me, all along. I mean, I had an email yesterday with a writer from Forbes that interviewed like 6 weeks ago saying, hey, the article for Forbes is going to run in 2 weeks, and I need not a headshot. I need a photo of you that's not a headshot. I don't like to take a lot of pictures. I think it's probably a scar from childhood that I just don't like to take a lot of pictures. So I have to go hunt a picture. They wanted something that's not a headshot, and I'm like, geez, I don't know where I'm gonna find that. But yeah, I mean, if you leave the opportunity open, great things will come to you, right? And you just never know from where.
Wow. Yeah, and it sounds like there's going to be plenty more opportunities.
I'm like you, like, I love business. I see all these different business owners, right? I see all these different business models, and you think, oh my gosh, there's so many kinds of businesses that people are doing that you have no idea that it could be a business, and it's a business.
Doesn't it drive you crazy though? And I know this might not be a strength for some people, but when you have these great opportunities and people don't understand their numbers.
Yeah. Um, you know, and probably you mean it the same way when you say drive me crazy. It actually saddens me. So it saddens me that small business owners, that there's such a big divide, that big businesses have CFOs and they have, high level accountants. And because they're paying them a lot of money, they give them a lot of time and effort, right? And that the small business owner, they'll get an IRS notice, right? And they'll freak out. Like, I'm sure you've gotten them and I've gotten them, because the IRS can send you a notice for any reason they want to, and it's not our wheelhouse, right? Well, now I understand them because the business I'm in. And so you get this, and what do? You call your accountant, and they don't answer your call. 2 weeks goes by. You call them again. Every day you're thinking about it. It's on your list every day. You just want, oh my God, is the IRS coming after me? What do I have? Is this going to cost me a lot of money? Did something happen? Is something wrong? All these things. And you finally, after, 8 calls to your accountant, you finally get a response, and they say, oh, it's no big deal. Don't even worry about it. Right? All too much. And so that was really, one of the examples, as well as about that small business owners don't understand their numbers. That was the reason why that I'm building this business, is that I want to arm small business owners like Uber armed the individual person waiting from for the taxi cab in the rain, right? Because you knew when they were going to come and if they were coming. And by no means am I saying we're like an Uber, but we are doing the same thing. We're using technology to provide transparency and to empower the small business owner to understand their numbers, to be able to reach somebody when they want to, right? When can you get an accountant at 8 o'clock on a Friday night, right? Our customers do. And they get that. They need help, they get it. And so that's why we do it. But yeah, it saddens me. But look, I'm not going to stay in this business forever, right? I still have three more.
There you go. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, same as you. You're going to do
Exactly.
another what, five,
Oh, I
six? You know,
know.
you actually gave me a good idea that I speak with, that a good friend of mine, Brad, him and I still talk about it. And I think this was probably what, about 3 years ago, after Colin's boat parade party. We came and sat down with you the next day on Sunday, and you started to give us some insight around the Amazon businesses. And Brad and I each looked at each other, and our eyes lit up, and we go, and you may remember this. We go, oh my God, that'd be a perfect thing to do a roll up with. Go buy multiple Amazon businesses in different segments,
Yeah.
roll them up, and sell them for a bigger multiple,
Yeah.
right? And that was just having everyday conversation with you, Norman.
So let's
Yeah.
switch gears and go over to the other side. I'll call it a hurdle, but a lot of people say failures. I don't like using the word. Tell me that side of it. We know that you don't get where you are without having to jump a couple of hurdles. What's
Yeah.
some of I guess what I'm looking at is I'd like to know what it was, how did it happen, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Wow. So, hurdles in business. Um, Bad partners.
Mm.
Bad partners. Um, I guess what I learned, so probably the biggest, I've done nine businesses, not counting investments, right? I have, a bunch of investments. That'd be a whole separate conversation about what to invest in and when and how and all those good things. Um, but on the business side, the, the lesson I learned, Norman, is that my optimism got me in those
Mm.
areas. That'd be the lesson. So, so every positive can be a negative. Do you believe that?
100%. Yep.
So, um, totally. And so, being optimistic gets you through things that other people can't get through, right? It got you through bankruptcy. It got me
Mm-hmm.
through all the deaths. Um, but being overly optimistic can also be a blind spot. So I would say in the realm of partnerships, I wasn't smart in my early days, and I didn't have the proper documentation and the proper provisions, such as operating agreements, such as shotgun clauses in those operating agreements, um, and and so that would have been my biggest those that would be my biggest hurdles in business. I've had some pretty strong challenges in business. I had a legal matter that I filed a lawsuit, and not a lawsuit, I filed an arbitration because there was really no other way out. And I had a dirty arbiter, and he was the past president of the Florida bar. And I thought I picked him as the arbiter, thinking that he'd be clean, and I guess being naive, right? I was naive about it, and I learned real quick that it can be a dirty world, especially in the legal realm. And then I did something that most people wouldn't do, and I got him recused. Most people wouldn't take that shot. It was a binary. They were going to shut me down, right? It was a dirty situation, and I was going to come out on the other side of it. And I went ahead and I risked everything to do what was right. And what was right is he needed to be recused. And, that was a $600,000 legal battle where it should have been $100,000. And because it was a dirty arbiter, allowed some just horrendous things to do. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a failure, but it felt like a failure. It felt like while you were going through that whole process, it felt like a failure. And other types of failures, if you do a bad hire in a key position, that can be a failure, right? And not for the reasons that you would think it could be a failure, not for the reasons of, oh, you didn't get the right person, so you didn't get as far in the business as you wanted to. It could be for the reasons of that you hired the wrong person that killed your culture in your company, or hurt the very people that you care most about. So, I can say that I care about my team as much as I care about humans that I choose to be in my life, friends with that. And so those are instances of failures. And yes, I've had them all. I can tell you I've had them all. So I can't say that there's one failure. I can say that in my career, I've had lots of failures, right? If you're going to have lots of success, lots of failures come with it, or lots of challenges or lots of hurdles come with it. And you know what? I believe you tackle them the same way. You tackle, it's the same approach, right? Another thing to age us, right? Norman Lee Iacocca, right? Chrysler, right? He failed in his life in lots of things, and then he was successful in his life. I bet you if we sat and talked to Bezos, he'd tell us failures in his life.
I am going to ask you something that I ask every guest at the end of the show, and that's one question. Lil Roberts, do you know a guy?
I know lots of guys, Norman. What kind of guys do you want to know? I know lots of guys.
Anyone you think would be interesting enough to come on to the podcast?
I have a lot of guys that are like brothers to me. And two guys come to the top of my head. Well, more than two, but I'll tell you, one of my foreign brothers, Barry Cates, and you may have met him at Colin's holiday party. He has such an interesting story, and he is such an amazing guy with how he has built his company, and he has VIP events, and just incredible. And besides Barry is another foreign brother, Aaron Parkinson, and for that matter, Brad Tuckman. You want an interesting story? Brad grew up poor and built, and had a photography. As a photographer, he ended up building a company that had 1,000 employees. That he specifically went after second market, Walmart, Target, not the big ones, Crate and Barrel, Bed Bath and Beyond, and built an amazing, amazing business that he exited. And so I would say I have three guys for you. How's that?
That's perfect. That's fantastic. So the last thing is, if somebody wants to get in contact with you or to get more information about your fantastic company, how do they get in contact with you?
Well, thanks, Norman. My personal email is lil.roberts, Lil.roberts. Well, let me say not personal. My work email is lil.roberts at Xendoo, Xendoo.com. And if they're just interested in what we do, if that could help their business, they can go to info@Xendoo.com. And I answer all my emails. I try to get to them all the same day. May not happen, depending, but they will hear back. And, I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're doing this and that you are bringing stories to life in such a fun way. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I just want to say thank you for coming on to the podcast. Lil, you're an amazing lady. And hopefully we can get you on here again.
Would love it. Thanks, Norman. Would absolutely love it.
Hey, guys and gals, thanks for listening. For more great content, please like, subscribe, and follow I Know This Guy on all social media platforms. I Know This Guy relies on listeners like you. Please visit our Patreon page to find out how you can help.